Check for boogers?
Did not check for boogers. I did forget to floss.
I didn't.
Oh, now I'm squeaking. I wasn't squeaking before.
You gotta get the squeak out.
Did you switch your chair with mine? Did you?
He would do that. You know he would do that. He's the kind of guy who would do that. Okay, we're rolling.
Hello, Mr. Eastman. Can you hear us?
Bad news, guys. Our show is canceled. Yeah, we only have 4 more episodes after this one. And I know that's a really sad note to start a new podcast on. But that's the reality of our situation. This is Joywave, the first century. And this year, 2026, actually marks the end of the first century of Joywave. Did you guys know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so it's 1917 to 2026. Now, a lot of people use the Gregorian calendar, but I'd like to note that Fortune 500 companies do not. They use their own 5-quarter system. I mean, they're just making it up. So Joywave uses their own calendar. And during this first century, we released 2 mixtapes, 1 EP, and 5 full-length albums, which each have their own footnote number designation. So for this series, we're going to talk about those records one at a time. We're going to focus on the footnote ones. And we thought, what better place to start our brand new limited podcast series than at the George Eastman House in Rochester, New York, where George Eastman, founder of Kodak, lived, and now Joywave lives. We bought it, and we're here to announce that. Paul, what are some fun facts about the Eastman House that people might not know?
Oh, well. It was split down the middle.
That's right. They told us that when we came in here.
That's a fun fact.
This room that we were in, George Eastman had sawed in half because he didn't like the acoustics and had 9 extra feet added to the room.
Yeah.
The contractor's like, what do you think? He's like, you're going to hate me, but.
Can we saw the whole house in half and move it 9 feet? There's an insane elephant head up here. That's pretty crazy. I assume that George Eastman caught this elephant. Is that right? Perhaps. Who's to say? There's a giant elephant head. Not that exact one. That's a replica of the elephant that he got. We're not doing music here today. No, we refused. We declined.
We've been asked to not do music.
We've been asked to not play any of our music out of respect. You can't see it right now. There might be a shot later, but there's an organ, and apparently George Eastman, instead of having an alarm clock because, it was 1910, he had an organist who lived here and would come down and wake him up by playing songs on the organ. And he had all these plants put here. So he would sit right where we're sitting right now to have his breakfast, but he didn't want to see the person playing the organ. He only wanted to hear it, which is pretty cool. Mr. Eastman would have loved that. Probably like a lot of people like to enjoy Joywave. Heard, not seen. Was that a grandfather clock?
We're spending this year celebrating the first century of Joywave.
Yes. Talking about the records one at a time, celebrating each one, savoring, some may say.
Of course.
George Eastman, the founder of Kodak, people outside of Rochester may not know that, but maybe the Rochesterian who has changed the world the most, right? Like mass producing cameras and film and taking photography worldwide. Plays into one of my favorite conspiracy theories. Everything before 1900 is a lie. If it happened, where are the photos, right? George Eastman changed that, which is very cool. All of our parents were employed by Kodak at one point in time. So we like to think of George Eastman as not only the founder of Kodak, the founder of Joywave as well via the butterfly effect. We all grew up near Kodak Park in Greece, outside of Rochester, New York. And this is a fun thing that I wanted to talk about. Kodak ran a secret nuclear reactor in our neighborhood.
We just found out about it.
When did people find out about this? Like mid 2000s?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it was there for how long? Like 40 years running and nobody knew?
Yeah, and their reaction was also very like, what are you guys freaking out about? If something bad happened, we would have told you. It was fine. We'll move it if you want us
It was
to.
a little over 30 years, yeah. They never lied about it.
They didn't see the harm in it.
What do they say? Nobody asked?
Yeah.
Nobody asked
you
us if there was a
you
secret
can't lie
nuclear
about
reactor?
it if nobody asked. I think it was 3 pounds of uranium.
Plutonium? I think it was weapons grade plutonium.
It was, yeah, not safe.
What was the location?
Kodak Theater, essentially.
It was in the theater?
No, but there's like
Stage left.
There's like it was well protected. Like I said, they on all their safety inspections, they passed with flying colors to the point that nobody ever knew about it.
Sure. Great.
Isn't that the way you want a nuclear reactor to be?
I'm trying to think if anyone...
So good no one knows about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if anyone has ever asked us point blank, Joywave, do you guys run a secret nuclear reactor? I don't think anyone's ever asked, so we don't have to answer that. How do you feel now, First Century? What years are we talking? 2015, the record comes out, but we started recording it in the fall of 2013, maybe?
Yeah, it's a tough one when it comes to that because of how it was recorded in such patches, right? And sewn together as an album. Like we did the drums for Now in New York City in September of 13. And the only reason I remember that is because GTA 5 came out at the same time.
How did you divide your time responsibly? We'll touch on early times, right? But I think we want to basically be talking about how do you feel now. So early years, where did you work?
I worked at Wegmans.
You were at a bunch of them.
I was a floater.
Yeah.
I was a floater.
Yeah. Likeable guy.
Well, we were offered a show opening for the Killers.
Arena shows.
And I had no more time off on the books.
I remember being in the studio working on How Do You Feel Now? And our manager, I don't remember if it was Case or Ben, called and was like,
Yeah.
you have these shows in 2 days.
Yep. I remember getting the alert on my phone saying supporting the Killers confirmed. And I was like, well, that's incredible. However, going to be some bad news for some people at Wegmans. And yeah, they had no choice but to let me go. And I said, I totally understand. I said, I understand. I totally understand.
So where does that put Kimmel? What year was Kimmel then?
I think the fact checkers can probably find out what year we played Jimmy Kimmel. We played somebody new on Kimmel because that's when you lost your job, right?
Yeah, and I thought that was way before Joey lost his. I thought Joey kept on his job way longer than I.
I don't think so. Where did you work?
Olive Garden for 8.5 years.
Doing?
Cook, making pasta.
Was there a Olive Garden title for that? Curator of the Tuscan.
Yeah, Tuscan expert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where were you when you got that call?
We were in an airport in Detroit. I think the last thing out of his mouth was, I'll see you on TV tonight, quite literally.
I think I do remember that.
Yeah.
He's like, Paul, I'm looking at all these breadsticks over here not being cooked.
I worked at Staples
You did?
for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think I quit in like maybe 2010 because I was like, this is not going how I want it to go. And I remember I would walk up and down the aisles and avoid managers. And like, I would be like working on songs in my head. And I was like, this job is keeping me from getting good at songwriting and doing this. So I ended up quitting and just sitting in my parents' basement and writing songs for like 3 years. But I remember the music at Staples torturing me. And we had not the same channel, but similar channels when you were at Wegmans. And you and I would call each other if we had overlapping shifts at Staples and Wegmans. And ask to talk to the other one. Be
Yeah.
like, can I speak? You'd be like, can I speak to Dan in electronics? I'd be like, can I talk to Joey in Helping Hands? And they would put us through. It would just be like, hey, and you could park the call on the phone systems, and the whole music matched up with the Muzak playing in the store.
What were top 3 songs? And like, no matter what, when they came on, I would call staples. Higher Love by Steve Winwood.
Higher Love was by Steve Winwood, which was my least favorite song of all time to this day. And I also couldn't hear the music clear enough to hear the words Higher Love. So I thought he was singing Break Me a Pound of Love. So I would refer to it as the Love Deli song. That one destroyed me.
Moody Blues?
Moody Blues. Oh my God.
The Moody Blues.
The chorus of the
yeah.
Tuesday Afternoon.
And sometimes it would just work out so perfectly where you'd pick up right as the chorus hit. And I was, got it.
I remember the Moody Blues one would sneak up on me because the chorus is just him holding a note for like a minute and a half and like sliding around.
The chromatic progression.
Yeah. But like that would take like a minute and a half to do, and I wouldn't realize that it was that song. And I'd be putting like ink cartridges on the shelf, and suddenly it would cut through, and I'd just be like,
me too. It would snap me out of like whatever work mode I was in, and I would look around. I was like I was in like frozen foods, stocking shelves, and that vocal melody would come on, and I would just look at people as if to say like, do you all hear this right now? And everyone was just carrying on with their day.
This is totally fine.
They were like, this is great.
Dude, it was so difficult. There's been times where I've gone back and said, what was that song? Like there's a few Natalie Merchant songs from 10,000 Maniacs. She has a solo career. And by the way, nothing against any of these artists who have like made these songs and this is their art and this is great. And just the powers that be at Staples decided to like turn them into musical trauma for me. That's a me and Staples issue, not if there's anything wrong with these songs. But I've been walking around for like 10 years being like, this one song? And people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I looked it up on Spotify because I was like, I have to see, what the deal is with the song. Nobody knows the song. The song has like 3 million plays all time. And I'm like, how did this get chosen for like Muzak?
So really just exists in the sphere of Muzak.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of songs that she had on the list where I was just like, these are not like famous, well-known songs. These are just songs that somebody programmed on Staples Radio because they were like a fan and were like, people will appreciate these. But it's funny now that we've become the Muzak because I love, sometimes we'll see something where people are like, oh, I just heard like Buy American at Applebee's. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. That's not...
It's not where it's meant to be.
It's not, it did not, we did not make it for Applebee's.
Our bad.
Yeah, our bad. We did that. But this is about How Do You Feel Now by Joywave, album 1.
So when was our first show?
Okay, our first show ever was, we looked this up, it was January of 2010, and it was at the studio at Webster Hall in New York, which is kind of silly for a band from Rochester. But we had been in bands growing up, and we'd been a band around Rochester for quite a while.
Right.
So we had a manager like in New York out of the gate. So I think even when we were starting Joywave, we had like some loose kind of like music people who were like, what's this going to be?
We were still greenhorns, but we had a few steps up from doing it for a decade.
Sure.
Before
Right. Our first show could be in New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So next question that I have is how much of How Do You Feel Now existed when we played that show at the studio at Webster?
Okay. So I've been thinking about this too, because How Do You Feel Now is a compilation of all these songs that I wrote post-college. And it happens over a really long period of time. So I guarantee you at that first show, we played Traveling at the Speed of Light.
Oh, I knew Traveling.
There's no way that we didn't.
We didn't play Tongues.
No. Tongues wasn't written until I think 2012. So, but that kind of leans into this whole thing of like, How Do You Feel Now is this crazy collection of all these things that borderline make no sense together. And when I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, this is like a best of like 4 years of songwriting for me.
Right, because Now, for example, didn't come together till, we'll say 2013, and then, 2010 for Traveling, right? Maybe
Right.
even before then.
Right. So we kind of had like all these different directions because some of the best like songwriting advice that anyone ever gave me, this guy, Mark Trombino, who was like a producer in LA, and he was one of the people who heard our local band from Rochester and took pity on us and said, why don't you come out to LA and work with me? And he was like, he'd be like, send me songs as you get them. So I'd be writing songs, I'm writing songs. And at this point in my life, I'm like probably early 20s, and I'm like, okay, songs are drums, 2 guitars, bass, and vocals. And I kind of quickly figure out there's only so much that you can do with that, at least for me, because some people do that their whole lives. But I kind of started to feel limited, so I started incorporating synth elements and electronic elements. And I remember sending him something and saying, this one doesn't really fit with the other ones or on the album. And he was like, he emailed me right back and was like, there is no album. Like he kind of was like, no one cares. And he was right. And I was kind of like hurt by that, but also like, he was like, just write anything that happens, draw the box around it later. And that really freed me to do some stuff like Tongues was kind of like a watershed moment where it was like, okay, this is not what we would do. I remember playing it for you guys and you guys were like, why would we do this song? And I was like, because it's
stick
like,
to guitar, bass, and drums.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right. Paul's
I really
like,
liked Traveling. What was wrong with that one?
yeah. Paul's hearing like the boop, boop, boops from Patricia, and he's holding 2 drumsticks and be like, I don't think we should play this one, guys. Like, and you're like, there is no guitar. Why would we do this? And I was like, I mean, it's different and it feels good and it's fun. And it seems like anyone I play it for is like, this is really immediate and I like it.
And it was the beginning of how we kind of shaped what the band would become too.
I think that song completely changed the direction of the band. I think there's all these songs from like 2010, 2011, 2012 that are guitar, bass, and drums with a little bit of electronic stuff in there, here and there, and they're like darker.
People, I think fans know we're capable of guitar, bass, and drums,
They've heard us do that before?
Yeah.
You think that's enough of that? But yeah, so that made How Do You Feel Now just kind of this explosion of these are the songs that are the most interesting and exciting to us. And we were also working off of like I think we technically started recording How Do You Feel Now in the fall of 2013. Like we got signed, we got a studio behind the Bug Jar that we rented. Me and Sean, our old bass player, were sleeping on air mattresses there, working on it like around the clock. And, you guys would come in and play your parts and stuff. And it was just like, I remember like figuring out in real time how the equipment worked.
Yeah.
Because like that was one of the big things is basically how we got signed is Tongues went to #1 on this website called Hype Machine. And some people might remember Hype Machine. There's like this beautiful moment in the 2010s where all the record labels have lost control, and the gatekeepers are no longer like record label people saying like, I deem this good or I deem this bad. Music blogs were just posting songs by artists that they were finding online. They're like, we think this is good. And Hype Machine would aggregate all of the songs that blogs were posting. So we kind of saw it happen a few different times where it was like, okay, a song goes to #1 on Hype Machine. People who are up on new music see that. They listen to it. They like the artist. They go to the show, and then all the record labels are playing catch up, and they're trying to go sign that artist. So we had this weird thing where like even at those early New York shows, like 2011, 2012, like people from labels are coming to see us and they're like, let us know when it works, like keep us posted. Yeah. Like, hey Dan, great song. I really like this one. I'll see you next time. Right. Like nobody is willing to help us. And then that Tongues goes to #1 on Hype Machine. And also I was doing this side project with Alan Wilkes in Brooklyn called Big Data. Eventually I left and it was just Alan, but we did an EP and we did the song Dangerous. And that went to #1 on Hype Machine, like almost at the same time as Tongues. And it was just like this insane moment where...
Yeah, part of the reason Dangerous or Big Data became Just Alan was because you were getting at the same time busy with Joywave stuff
Right.
happening. You had just gotten signed.
Right. And I kind of had this moment where it was like, do I want to go
do
do
both.
big data or do I want to go do Joywave? But like, there's like touring associated and like, I kind of like can't do both. And I remember being like, well, Paul and Joey and, you know, Sean at that point and like Beard have been my friends forever. Like, obviously I have to go do that and see that through with them. And Alan was like super understanding and he just became big data. But it was crazy because all we'd ever heard from record labels was no for our entire lives. And all of a sudden, all the record labels are calling us and they're like, hey, you guys remember me kind of thing. And it's all the people who've told us no. And they're like,
rocking.
Yeah. People who send us emails that literally say, keep rocking.
Keep rocking.
And they're like, well, we got to figure out which producer to put you in with. We've got to figure this out. And Hollywood Records called us and they flew me out to LA to meet with me. So me and Ben, our manager, went out there and they offered us a deal and they said, who do you want to make the record? And I said, well, you like what we did, right? And they're like, yeah. And I said, well, we did that. So how about you just let us buy a bunch of equipment and make the record? And they were like, deal. So at that point, there was nothing else to talk about with anyone else. When I listen to How Do You Feel Now, I hear us figuring out how to use knobs and equipment. And I remember because we had owned a computer, one Audio-Technica AT4040 microphone, an Apogee Duet 2 audio interface.
Thrilling.
So thrilling.
Thrilling gear.
And that was all the gear that we had.
Yeah.
Like Tongues was recorded with that. And that was all we had. So suddenly it's like we're getting like preamps and mics and compressors and
you did Dangerous with that, right?
we did Dangerous. Me and Alan did that in New York, but that was a PreSonus FirePod.
Right.
Also an AT4040 mic. And I love when people ask, like, how'd you get that bass tone? I'm like, oh, you plug in the bass guitar direct to your PreSonus interface and you're done. That's it. You need that PreSonus
Class
sound.
is over.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Yeah, you're not going to believe how this tone was made.
Should be charging tuition for this.
I know. Yeah, that's a little free tip for you guys.
Mr. Eastman, you're not going to need that extra 9 feet. Plug it right in.
Do you want to saw this house in half or do you want a PreSonus FirePod? Your choice.
Save yourself some house, okay?
But I also love that, like, for us, which I guess this is, our own podcast. So, like, being three very cool, handsome guys that just universally male models, that kind of thing didn't matter for a second once the blogs showed up, because I remember people coming to see us and they were like, they're not rock stars. They don't wear leather jackets. They don't smoke cigarettes. And I was like, well, why does that matter? Like, we made this song and we have a vantage point and we're making things that we feel good about. And
They're like, you're from where?
Yeah, you're from Rochester.
What borough?
Oh, that's not gonna.
What?
Yeah, what borough, dude? I remember so many people being like, "Oh, Rochester, that's upstate." I'm like, "You're thinking of a different Chester. This is like Canada." We weren't cool, and then suddenly it didn't matter because the songs were already working, and all the labels were like trying to catch up. And it was this amazing moment, and now it's gone, and it's just algorithms, and like everyone's lost control. Where now nobody knows what works. A computer picks what works. The song is viral on whatever platform and people chase that, but it's just completely out of control. And it makes me miss the simple times when A&R guys just signed you for wearing a leather jacket. If you're in a band right now or you're an A&R guy, leather jacket, cigarette, you're good to go. That's all there is. Very straightforward.
I still say big data. I never
still say big data?
I never say data.
I don't know what I say. I think I change it every time.
Yeah,
big
switch
data,
it up.
big data.
I only say big data.
Do you say dangerous or dangerous? In talking about how do you feel now, I did this written blog series on the Huffington Post that still exists. So I wrote that 10 years ago. So I would encourage people to go read that because I'm sure it's more accurate than I can remember now. But I remember a lot of sleeping on air mattresses. I remember the toilet breaking and me and Sean having to pee in jugs for a week. which you can hear. I think on In Clover, there's like literally, there's pee on In Clover.
Well, that was a personal decision to
pee in jugs?
to essentially stay and live in that in that tiny little studio.
Sure.
I mean, you were a 15-minute drive from what at that
Living
point?
with my parents.
Or did you live downtown? At
No,
that
I
point?
live with my parents.
Yeah, I was in my mom's basement at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
But I was still only a good like 17-minute drive.
Sure.
So you don't make it sound like you were at some sort of camp, you know?
It was bug jar camp. We would go. It was actually really easy because we would go across and DJ
Yeah.
like one
Right,
night a
right.
week to make money to pay our phone bills.
And then at night, like trying to do something at night, it would just be noise.
Yeah, you
Just-
couldn't record. Yeah,
yeah.
you couldn't record on at night.
Yeah.
There was a show. You were gonna get a little metal show in your
A little metal
recording.
show and whatever was going on in the parking lot every night, because we had a parking lot there, and it would just be people leaning up against the door talking and having conversations and
wearing leather jackets, smoking cigarettes,
totally
and getting
wearing
signed.
leather jackets.
Those were fun times in that little building, though.
Yeah, I loved that place. I was like really sad.
We didn't sleep and live there though, quite like
Hey,
Dan
you
and
could
Sean
have.
did.
You guys were welcome.
We could, yeah, I'm sure the jugs they sound wonderful.
Yeah.
You know?
We had more air mattresses. One of my favorite memories though was so NealHPogue mixed the record. Who he's done like a bunch of Tyler the Creator stuff now. He did like the last couple of Maria's records, I think. I remember being very excited because he had mixed TLC's Waterfalls, which was like one of the songs that got me into music when I was a kid. I heard it on the radio when I was a little kid, and I was like, "Oh my god, I like music." But he mixed Tongues. He mixed a bunch of songs on the record, and his whole thing was that he would mix overnight. So he'd be like, "Hey, I need you to be around at 4 a.m. to like check this mix," and he would call me and just be like, "Check it," basically hang up, right? And so I would be like, you know, I would wake up. I'd been sleeping for 2-3 hours, and I remember pressing play on like In Clover, and I was like, "Oh my god, he sped this up like 30 BPM. Like this is the fastest song I've ever heard." And I was like, "This isn't right. This isn't." And I remember that moment realizing how much like tempos were affected by your like mood or like were you sleeping or exercising or crazy experience. But yeah, he only mixed in the middle of the night, and you had to be awake to check the mix, which I respect so much. That's an insane thing to do. But great mixer. We also have asked everyone at home to ask questions, and we put out a call for questions on our various social media accounts. And we've got our first one right here, so I'm going to do that. But we're going to try to answer the questions as we go here. This is from a Robbie Korwek.
Interesting.
It says, what was it like working with Andy Wallace? So as I said, NealHPogue mixed a big chunk of How Do You Feel Now, but Andy Wallace mixed the other half. And Andy Wallace is known for mixing Nirvana's Nevermind, Rage Against the Machine. I think he did the first big Slayer record. I mean, he is like an insane 90s legend. Limp Bizkit. And we showed up in New York to like sit with him while he mixed. And it was crazy because it was like your nice grandpa. But he was actually retired at this point, and our A&R guy had like been his manager for years. So he reached out and was like, "Hey, I just signed this new band, Joywave. I think you'd really like them." And Andy agreed to do it. So he mixed Now, he mixed Somebody New, he mixed Parade, and he mixed Nice House. And I remember sitting there, and there's this like screensaver on the extra computer in the room. And it's just all these like, it's like a Model T. And it's like, I never saw the same car twice for like an hour. And then airplanes start showing up. And I jokingly was like, "Andy, are those your cars?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, oh my God, the 90s were a different time in this business.
Oh yeah.
And anything that came up, like I walked out to the lobby to get a coffee, and I came back, and Blind Melon was playing in the lobby, and it was the Blind Melon song, right? So I come back in and I was like, Blind Melon is playing in the lobby. And he stops. He goes, oh, which song? And I said, what are you talking about? Which song? It's like, there's only one Blind Melon song. It's like, it's No Rain. And he's like, oh, I was on the record cover for the album after that. And I was like, oh, of course. I totally know that album. And I looked later, and it's Andy Wallace sitting at a diner eating soup, which I assume is his favorite
With
meal.
the Model T parked right behind him.
And it says Blind Melon on like the spoon in like SpaghettiOs. And it was like over and over, anything that came up where I was like, he had done it.
Yeah, he's done it all.
He had done everything. Yeah. So by the end, I was just like, I should not talk anymore. And I should just tell him if I need something turned up or turned down. Nicest person in the world. He's crazy good at mixing.
Did he talk about his cars?
He not any more than just like, oh yeah, those are my cars, which he mentioned casually.
He's like, I check mixes
And
in the
so-
Model T.
In the Model T.
Were they his planes as
He
well?
mixes
then?
in mono. Yes, they were also his planes. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, next question. Derek's 22. Which song on the album do you wish you had made differently, if any?
Because this was album 1, footnote 1, it's tough to want to go back and like George Lucas anything.
I think for me, the one when I go back and listen to it is Carry Me, because I think we did that one last in the process. And I think we had done a lot of real drums at that point. And I think we were trying to kind of like you were like, I play the drums, we should use the drums, right? And we were like, yeah, we were just doing, electronic drums and stuff because we didn't own microphones or have any way to record them, right? So we were like, well, we've got mics now, we've got these preamps, we should use them. So Carry Me is just real drums. And I don't think that was like the best move for the song, I guess. So that one is like, it's weird at track 2 because you're hearing somebody new and it's like big and Andy Wallace mixed it and it's massive and powerful. And then it goes to Carry Me and it's like, what just happened? Like it's a crazy jump because it's back to doing the drums last at our studio with
Right.
us at this time having almost no idea how to do drums. I knew how to like check for phase. That's it. I think only Carry Me I would George Lucas.
How would George Lucas bubble?
I wouldn't. I would probably change things about Nice House too.
Does your foot need a break?
Yeah.
Kick
Foot
drum?
too tired. Change beat.
Kick? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have copy pasted some of those kicks so my foot wasn't so tired.
I want
that
to put
day.
some rests in that kick part. Yeah, if I could go back.
Well, that brings us to our next question from Amplified Danger. Who made and where did your awesome synth and keyboard sounds come from? This album has such cool sounds throughout it. Thank you.
Hey.
Me and Sean, our old bass player, did all like the key stuff on the album, and a lot of it was just from the demos, which was like there's so much like Arturia soft synth stuff on there because those are the plugins that I had, and we made those work. And then we got a Prophet 12 keyboard that was like the only keyboard that we got for the record. So a lot of the stuff that happened in the studio we did on there.
So the actual destruction sound is from that.
No, the Destruction sound is an Arturia soft synth. It is run through like a million distortion plugins. And then at the end of that, it has a harmonizer on it set to the wrong key. And that is how you break music. I'm gonna do the best I can with this pronunciation. I'm sorry. Professor Hans Jerkov. When Tongues featuring...
right.
That sounds right? Okay. When Tongues featuring Cops was transplanted from 88888 to How Do You Feel Now, why was it changed? In the 8888888 version, it goes, but there's no way... But that vocal delay effect or whatever is no longer there on the How Do You Feel Now version. That's right. And
Sleuth.
yeah, so NealHPogue mixed the song. The original 888 version is my mix, which is terrible. And then Neal fixed it, which is why it sounds better. But I think the file I sent him didn't have the vocal chops. And
On purpose?
yeah, I think I was just like, oh, I don't like those anymore. So I George Lucased the
So
song.
the answer is you, George Lucas in Tongues.
And you guys didn't know until
and I didn't
Professor
even-
Jerkoff right now
I didn't
called me
even
out
notice.
on it. You guys didn't even notice. And someone said, also, are the Cops vocal samples on Tongues from the beginning of the second verse of LA Lights? Yes, they are. That's really good. Patricia says, boombox bass bumping low. And I took a snippet of her voice and put it on a keyboard, and that is the boops in Tongues. And Professor Jerkoff here also correctly points out that the same sound is in Strange Boy, which we did after Tongues. Then I was like, yeah, it's your voice on this keyboard setting. Let's do it again. It's fun. Kenzie versus the World asks, what were the themes of inspiration for the album? I guess I talked about it a little bit before, but it's just kind of this post-college time in my life where it's like, I always would say it's expectations versus reality. Like growing up in the suburbs, I think all of our parents were like, guys, you just go to college, get a job, keep your head down, everything else kind of works out. And I graduated into the Great Recession, and that was not what happened. And it was a crazy time trying to like recalibrate expectations. And I have to say, I didn't work real hard to like find a job. I was kind of like, I think my job is going to be music. And all these things would happen just every so often where like you would get these affirmations from the universe that you were on the right path, where like someone would hear us and invite us to come to their studio for no money and be like, I like what you do. And that was just always a really good sign to me. Like it's producer David Kahn, who did The Strokes, a bunch of other stuff. Like he heard us and was like, I'll just do your stuff. He like mixed Coda Vista for us. He recorded Golden State for us. Just kind of like people believing in us based on
Like you
absolutely
mentioned,
nothing.
You mentioned Mark Trombino earlier. Like we stayed at his house.
Yeah.
You know,
He didn't have to do that.
didn't have to do
He
that.
let us do that because he was just like, this is good and I want to be involved. And that just like meant the world to me. And none
As
of our
opposed
lives,
to being like, give me $80,000 this semester for
yeah.
tuition, and then we'll see how you do, right?
But I think none of our lives have been like that. Like
Yeah.
we're all like, we're the kids of like Kodak employees and grew up in Greece, and like nothing ever kind of, I always felt like nothing worked out for me. Like I remember being like mid-20s and I was like, nothing ever works out for me. And then life gave us the biggest like, but this thing that is like 1 in a billion, like this is going to work out. It just is going to take a really long time. And I don't know. I mean, that like changed my life and my perspective on everything. When something doesn't go my way now, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Not back to the old way. And that's fine because I got like the thing that I like wanted since I was 14. How do you feel now? Tracklist review. I wrote that down. What do you guys think?
Like order?
I figured Paul, our researcher, could look it up and we could kind of go down and be like, how about that?
You want me to look up the track list
Do you
for
know
how
it by
do you
heart?
feel now?
Do you know it by heart?
Read it one by one.
I think I know. Hang on. Okay. Somebody New, opening track. Great kickoff. Hard hitting Andy Wallace mix.
High octane.
High octane. Debuted at South by Southwest 2013. Played it live. The crowd went wild. 2.
You are
Carry
correct.
Me. Okay.
You've got 1 for 1.
Okay. 1 for 1. 2. Carry Me.
Uh-huh.
Wimpy mix. We did real drums. Shouldn't have done it. Did it anyway. Track 3. Tongues featuring Cops. Am I right?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
Hit single. People love it. Track 4. Now? No, I missed it. Hang on.
Gotcha.
Hang on. Track 4. What would I put as track 4?
I definitely wouldn't have gotten this right.
I don't think I would have either. This is a bold choice.
Yeah.
Oh, Destruction.
Yeah.
We should change the order.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, Destructions after Tongues.
Okay.
Then Now, then Parade,
Okay.
then In Clover,
Okay.
and Feels Like a Lie,
Okay.
Traveling, Nice House, and Bad Dreams.
Okay, great. Bad Dreams, I actually want to talk about because there's a version of Bad Dreams that is not on the album that features Mick Jenkins and Little Simz. And I don't
Right.
think anyone knows that it exists. and Little Simz was like very new and knew a person who knew a person, and we knew we wanted to like try working with a rapper on a verse on that song. And she just did it, and it came back, and it was like incredible. And then at CMJ, I think we played Brooklyn Bowl in New York, and she came out and did the song with us. And she was like the most serious person.
Yeah, that was so awesome.
She was back there, like just like in her head, like warming up, and was just like doing the verse and like crushed it. Like I was like embarrassed that we played the rest of the song.
Me too.
And then
Yeah.
and then she did what she did and was so good. And now she's massive in the UK, and like she was like in the Venom movie. She's like acted a little bit now.
Oh, cool.
But I don't think that anybody even knows that that exists, and it's
The
sitting
Venom
out there
movie?
on Spotify.
Yeah, agreed.
What did you think of the Venom movie?
The 3 Venom
seen it.
movies?
Are there 3?
Oh, yeah.
Which one is she in?
The
The good one.
I don't
The good
know.
one.
I truly don't know.
Say the good one.
The good one. Yeah,
that
she's
hurt
she's
you?
in the good one.
Did it hurt you to say one of the Venom movies was good?
I've only seen the first. It was not good. And then there was what? Something, I forget what the second one is called. And then there's what, The Last Dance.
Rise of Venom.
Oh,
the
second
Last
one-
Dance.
Yeah, I think so. Carnage. Let There Be Carnage was the second one.
You only saw the first Venom movie?
I think I saw the second one as well with what's his face?
Who's that? I don't know anything about Venom movies.
Carnage.
Okay, so when you first said that, I thought you were talking about like I saw it with my brother or something, and you couldn't remember his name.
I saw it with Woody Harrelson.
Oh, he was in that one?
Was he really?
He was Carnage, right?
No. Was Woody Harrelson Carnage?
The red guy?
Yeah.
All right, fact checkers are going to tell us who Carnage was
Jeez.
later, and they're going to put it on the bottom of the screen.
And that was the second one, and that one was just so bad that once the third one came out, I just didn't even go.
Who was the bad guy in the third one?
Time.
I don't know.
Box office numbers.
I don't know.
I want to talk about music videos really quick. We did this at the Joy to the World little mini festival thing that we do in town here in Rochester at Christmas. At the Little Theater, we had a screening for our music videos and talked about them. I just want to briefly touch on the music videos during this era. First of all, we got a question here about tongues. It says, from Leo.E.Bell, can we address the naked people finally?
Address the naked people finally. Yeah.
Address.
Let's address.
Let's
naked
address.
people.
So we made the music video for Tongues with the Daniels, who are amazing. They were music video directors, and now they are Academy Award winners because they won Best Picture for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Great movie. And they also did Swiss Army Man, which I love
that
with Paul
movie.
Dano
Yeah,
and
that was
Daniel
fun. Great
Radcliffe.
movie.
But I remember we met them first in a hotel room in LA. We were like doing like a fitting for our outfits for the video. And this was Tongues was the last music video that they made. And then they started
Right.
doing movies. But they had told us that the week before they made a music video for a song called Turn Down for What with DJ Snake and Lil Jon. And Daniel Kwan, who stars in that video and also directs, is like, yeah, so the video is me just humping my way through a building while I have an erection. And I was like, cool, man. I was like, I sounds great. And I'm thinking, like, we hired this person to make our music video. Like, what are we in for?
Well, we hired them because of the treatment, you know?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. It was their idea. So can we finally address the naked people? That's the addressing. It was given to us by the Daniels. It was their idea.
They wanted to make that video for Tongues. Yeah,
They
and
wanted
we
to
said,
make that idea, and we thought it was so absurd and funny, and we were like, yes, we'd like that to be the video.
and obviously the ask was for us to be naked, which you did.
I went full nude. Full nude. Yeah, yeah.
I remember being presented with prosthetic naked male pieces. And they said, you guys can wear this if you are uncomfortable. And Paul said, I would rather go naked than have people thinking that my private parts look like that.
Yeah, they were pretty funny looking.
And he just declined.
It was kind of fun doing like the whole like corporate retreat style. Remember the night before, like getting to know everyone?
Yeah, because they tried to like make sure that the ice was broken since everyone was going to be naked.
Breaking the ice is a good way to put it. Like we did everything besides trust falls, I feel like.
Everyone had to pull down their pants and show each other. No, they He's like, what? That didn't happen.
Spent the night before naked.
Yeah.
No,
all
it was
night
great.
naked.
And you know, between takes, they were really like great about bringing everyone robes, and it wasn't just like constant nakedness. But when they said action and you know, it's quite a sight if you get 25, 30 completely naked people just not even like walking or running, right? Frolicking, like just skipping through the woods. It's quite a sight.
Didn't you say the place isn't there anymore?
Yeah, it burned down in one of the wildfires.
Got
Zorthion
burned.
Ranch, is that what it's called?
Zorthion, yep. Zorthion Ranch. And I believe a lot of it burned away.
Jeez.
Yeah. I remember being asked, you know, like there's the shot where I pull down my pants and you can see my butt, and my mom was not very proud of me and still isn't. And my butt is on the internet forever. And they offered me a stunt butt. And I said no, which was foolish. I should have accepted that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my deal was great.
Now they're making AI-generated butts off your butt right now.
I went full nude, but you only see my butt in the video for like a millisecond, and then after that, I get shot by clothes. So then I'm one of the clothed people for the whole rest of the video. So
you're good.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do a music video since then where like I get really obsessed with the YouTube comments about my butt, and I get like a fake butt installed, and then we all start getting fake butts installed, and we start getting more and more plastic surgery. We just like convince ourselves that we look really good. We just keep going, and no one thinks that's a good idea.
I do.
The Somebody New music video I want to talk about because it led to one of my favorite moments of this cycle. The Somebody New video, we are skateboarding. I cannot skateboard. Can't even stand on a skateboard. And I rode a scooter. So if you look closely, I'm on like a Razor scooter. And Paul had to wear my shoes. The scene where like it's me skating and pans up, they had to like composite that digitally due to me not being able to stand on a skateboard.
Well, that was the whole pitch for the video, was just like, do you remember when you're playing Tony Hawk and it just totally glitches out?
Yeah.
We would be playing it in your basement and we'd be choking from laughing so hard at the glitches that were happening.
Tony Hawk saw the music video for Somebody New and was like, this is incredible.
I think his wife really liked it.
Okay.
And showed it to him as how it happened.
Okay. Which meant a week later, Joywave got asked to play X Games in Austin. And who did we play
2015, we played right after Pennywise. And right before...
Which makes sense.
I do remember I was able to catch the water skiing squirrel set, though. Ziggy, the water skiing squirrel. They were after us. So technically, we all opened for the squirrel.
Okay. Well, I remember being in the green room and someone came in and they said, Tony Hawk wants to meet you guys. So Tony Hawk comes in the green room and incredibly nice. He was like, I saw the music video.
So nice.
Super cool. Like, you know, we all grew up playing the games and stuff. Like, it's kind of an homage to that. And I was like, hey, would you like introduce us when we go out on stage? He was like, yeah, I'd be happy to. So Joywave gets out there at X Games. And when I tell you there are 12 people.
I think it's 6 p.m., maybe 5:45.
There's like 12 people. And Tony Hawk runs out on stage with a microphone. It's like, what's up, X Games? And there's 12 people. And he's like, what is wrong? And people are just like, why is Tony...
He looks back and he's like...
Yeah, why is Tony Hawk the 13th person here right now? And he's like, Joywave. He's like thinking there's going to be like thousands of people to see Joywave. And it's just like, nobody likes this dumb band at this point. They just playing after Pennywise. And I remember it being like, he looked like he had been crushed.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
he was like, I should not have agreed to do this. I wrote down here that we should talk about the first time we heard us on the radio. That's like a big thing for bands and musicians. So, what do you remember?
I remember. I don't remember. We were driving. I don't remember in between like what shows or what events, but it was at night. We had like a rental car, and
It's 3:30 in the morning.
it probably
3:30 a.m. on the Zone.
Only
yeah.
time they're allowed to play.
Yeah, the Joywave hour.
we just
yeah.
get a call from NealHPogue. He's like, "Did you hear that?" No, we're driving, and it was somebody new. I remember hearing somebody new all in the car at the same time, and it sounded different than I had imagined it.
In a good way or a bad way?
No, in a good way. I was like, okay, it's probably because I've never experienced this before.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I really don't remember. I remember hearing tongues in my car sometimes. I remember we were on tour for an insane amount of time in 2015 and 2016 and a little bit in 2014. We were just so busy. Like, I remember Dangerous happening and becoming like the #1 song at Alternative and like just getting bigger and bigger. And now I think the song is like double platinum. But like, and people were like, that song is everywhere. And I was like, I wouldn't know. Cause like I wasn't near a radio or near any like media.
Yeah.
So it was that.
Yeah,
and
we
then
didn't.
Tongues was happening.
We
at the same
didn't have
time.
the opportunity to hear our own music on the radio.
Yeah, I'd hear it in like an Uber or like playing at like a restaurant or something like that, I guess.
Those were such great like moments, though. Like in a sense that like the constant. I mean, how many days do you think we were gone?
So I wrote this down. I pulled this information because I thought that it would come in handy. In 2015, we were gone for 192 days.
That's a good chunk of a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In 2016, we were gone for 145. But in 2016, we also recorded Content that year.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a lot of activity.
But it was so fresh and new, and it felt so cool. Like you were speaking earlier about how like whole childhood dream thing. It's like that's the moment where it's like this is my childhood dream coming true. Like being on the road, 192 days. Like that's when it really hit me. I was like, okay, I could do this.
I remember being at home at my parents' house where I lived at the time and getting the Best Buy weekly ad the week that How Do You Feel Now came out. And How Do You Feel Now, like the CD was listed as like new releases, and it was like my face in the Best Buy ad. And I remember just thinking, suck it, Staples.
Suck it, Steve Winwood.
Yeah, I should have worked at Best Buy. They respect me. So I think our first tour, we were first of 3 opening for RAC, which brought us to the West Coast for the first time. But I can't remember if that was first or opening for St. Lucia. They were kind of around. Was it RAC?
RAC.
Okay, it was RAC.
Yeah.
So we went down the Pacific Coast Highway. We saw Redwoods for the first time. Tours during these years, we've got The Killers, Brandon Flowers. We went to Europe with him. Metric, Foles, Silver Sun Pickups, Bleachers, The Kooks. This took us to Europe and the UK for the first time, which was crazy because I did not realize how American I was
Very
until
humbling.
we got there.
Yep.
I don't know, like I didn't know anybody growing up from school that was like, yeah, I went to Europe this summer. So I didn't know anything about it other than like historical facts. What shocked you guys about the UK and Europe?
How many just everyday things are called something else?
You're talking about like the UK-isms?
Yeah, the UK-isms.
Yeah, like everything's called like a whirly-durly machine or something. And you're like, I know what that is sort of, but yeah. Like it's just like named for its function. Toilet is really crass. Where is toilet? Like that's what you say. And they're like, because you say like, where's the bathroom or the restroom? They're like, you're not resting in it. You're not taking a bath in it. You're just using the toilet. Where's the toilet? Okay, the other thing that I want to talk about during this time period, the Joywave opener bump was very real. If you look at the Destruction music video, it's filmed partly at the Troubadour where we were playing, and Phoebe Bridgers opened for us. And when I say we let Phoebe Bridgers open for us, That was the truth. Like, our manager was a fan of Phoebe Bridgers, and like, she was playing some shows around LA. She opened for us at El Rey, Troubadour, a couple other times, and she was awesome. But like, it was so like early for her, and you know, I hope she's doing well now. Who knows what happened? Just kidding. But the 1975 opened for us at the Bug Jar in Rochester. Here, we always say you could make like a Coachella headline set out of Joywave openers, where like Joywave is the Joywave is still like the first of 16 band at Coachella. We played Coachella for the first time, 2016. So I stopped drinking alcohol at the end of 2015, and that was the first big show that I played not drinking at all, which was, I thought it was going to be terrifying, and it was actually fine.
There's still dust in my kick drum from 2016 when we played it.
The hierarchy of people at a festival are influencers, the artists.
Do you remember the backstage area at Coachella?
I do. What I remember about it is trying to get to the stage to play our set, and I was in a security line, and I remember them letting the Kardashians come through, not in the security line. And I said, I have to play. And the guy said, that doesn't matter, as they let the Kardashians through, and I almost missed our set time.
Yeah.
Like, if you were like an influencer or model,
influencers.
you're good. No security check.
Yeah.
If you're playing, hang on.
Famous,
Got to see if you have
famous
weapons.
child.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember Will Smith's kid was like down front in the photo pit, like going crazy during our set. I was kind of thinking, just as a person from Greece, New York, like, what upside down am I in? Like it was just really foreign to me. The other type of festival during this era that we ended up playing were radio shows.
Yeah.
And
the radio show.
And I never thought that we were
there was
going...
Lollapalooza too.
Yes. Okay. So hang on. Okay. So
Yeah,
we played Lollapalooza.
A lot of radio festivals.
Okay. So Lollapalooza is amazing to me for one very specific memory, which was us getting off stage and Paul finding somebody back there. Do you want to tell this story?
I mean, it's not much of a story.
Oh, yes,
There's not much to it. I was basically, after we got off stage and I finished packing up,
He found a blunt rotation to join.
I was like asked to, like, if I wanted it. They were like, yo, good set. Do you want any of this? And they held out a blunt, and I was like, of course I do, and they were very nice. There were 6 or 7 of them, and then I just took a few hits.
Yeah,
and
walked away.
We had to go.
And I said, Paul, do you know who that is? He said, nope, let's get out of here. And I said, that's Chance the Rapper. And he said, okay.
And there were 2 other.
Vic Menza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
let's get into
inviting and wonderfully
Yeah,
nice.
great set. You want to see? Yeah.
Paul's like, you too. They hadn't gone on stage yet?
Big fan. Yeah. Me looking up and seeing Paul like next to Chance the Rapper in a blunt rotation. I was like, what just
Like
happened?
talking with him like
yeah,
this?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
He's
we couldn't hear
he's
what
like
they were
very
saying.
nice to, yeah. Paul's like, this is a really nice guy. So during this time, we also end up playing all of these radio shows, which I didn't know was a thing. I honestly never thought we were going to be a band on the radio. Like, at this time, like, radio songs were like darker rock kind of, and there wasn't any like electronic elements. So I just thought that wasn't a thing for us. And all of a sudden, like, radio really embraced Dangerous. It embraced Tongues, and suddenly, like, the alternative radio stations were playing things that were like half electronic. So we're like thrust into radio zone where I never thought we would be. And there's 2 kinds of shows I realized. There's stomp, clap, whistle shows, which were like folk bands.
The like Civil War reenactment bands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there were like the hard rock. There was like Godsmack or like Chevelle. And we didn't belong on either one of those bills. So every time the crowd hated us, but we would have to go do it. And I remember this one in Houston that was with Godsmack, Buck Cherry. Who else?
I mean, those are the 2 that
Offspring,
stuck out to me.
probably.
This
We've played
crowd.
so many of those with Offspring.
Can we look it up? Can we?
We sure can, yeah.
So at this particular show, we're about to walk out on stage looking like we do. and someone who works for the festival says, "Are you guys going to go out dressed like that?" And I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Do you want to go to wardrobe?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. I want to go to wardrobe." And they are giving me and Joey like Affliction t-shirts and like shit with skulls on it and stuff.
Yeah,
Hollywood Undead, Breaking Benjamin.
And we said yes to everything we were offered and went out on stage dressed like that. And between every song, I said, "Can I get a hell yeah?" And everyone screams, "Hell yeah!" And we would play tongues and it would be silent. We ended up on one of these in Rochester with Chevelle. And we decided before we went out on stage to do a cover of Freak on a Leash by Korn.
This is one of my probably top 5 memories.
Then you go.
From this record. Was it was a radio show. Salem Stadium.
Yeah.
Salem Stadium. And we were thinking of a cover to do, and somehow we landed on Freak on a Leash by Korn. And to this day, I think that is my favorite moment on stage, is playing Freak on a Leash.
I remember Andy, who was in Cops at the time, but he was in our band in like 2011.
Yeah.
He came out and he did the da-boom, da-ba-doom, da-ba-diva, and he ate a chicken sandwich before he did that. So he was screaming into the microphone and spitting chicken parts out as he was doing that. And the crowd went insane. They hated us.
Right.
We did that. We got off stage and this guy who was like a stagehand was like, "Hey, I thought you guys were terrible. I loved that Korn cover you did." He said, I'll never forget. He said, "I'm going to give you a like on Facebook." And I said, "You're going to be sorely disappointed when you get there, my friend."
But that's how we cracked the code.
Yeah.
Of that. I wish we knew that sooner.
Got off stage,
Yeah.
made a Facebook.
But the radio shows ended up being kind of this like anti-inspiration for Destruction, because we were working on Destruction. Like that was one of the last songs I think that we completed for How Do You Feel Now. So we had already done some of these shows. And I remember everything being the stomp, clap, whistle, hey. And it was like all these songs were that. And we were like, this song, Destruction, is just like taking a bucket full of instruments, dumping it down 6 flights of stairs. And it was just this really oddball thing. And we were talking about, we were like, maybe if we have whistles and a clap and say, hey, maybe that's all there is to it. And then the song got worked to radio and worked. And I can only think that it has to do with stomp, clap, whistle, because that song has no business being alongside Lumineers or Godsmack or everything happening is in the wrong key.
Yeah.
It was amazing for that to like, it was just this like funny bet of like, let's take it 3% into this like absurd zone where it doesn't belong and see what happens. And the answer was, it works. We didn't want to be forgettable. And on a lot of these tours we were doing, we were playing like first of 3 bands, first of 4. And we kind of developed this concept of the 1-inch wall where like we get people, we minorly inconvenience people. So I would get out on stage, we would play Destruction, and people would just stare at us because it's like 6:05, right? And I would say, hey, bad news, everybody. I talked to, Brandon Flowers or whoever, and it's in our contract that we don't have to leave the stage until we feel properly respected. And if you want to see the Killers tonight or the Kooks or whoever, you're going to have to actually give us the reaction that we would like. So we're going to try that again. So we would just do Destruction multiple times, and I'd be like, this is the greatest song ever written. And we would go harder and harder. And half the audience would be like, I hate this band. They do not respect me, and I deserve respect. And the other half would be like, this band does not respect me, and I love them. And that's just that you want to be on one side or the other, right? Like you want to like find your audience or not. And also there's this big thing during this time of like, when you're gone 190 whatever days a year, if you're not having fun yourself and entertaining yourself, you are going to crack really quickly and have to go home. And I think that is worth so much, and not enough bands embrace that. And like, like you can get up there and be like, I really appreciate you all, which like you do. Like I appreciate anybody who comes to see this. That's amazing. Like, why would you like, we show up in like Zurich and play and people are there. I'm like, why are you here? That's crazy. I've never even been to this country. Like, that's cool. But like at the same time, your job is to be entertaining and that's why they're there. It's not just like playing the songs and saying thank you. And I think we really developed that on the first record cycle. This becomes SWISH ultimately, because our record label decides to work Destruction as the 4th single from How Do You Feel Now? And they told us 4th singles never do well. You should temper your expectations. And we said, how about it's the 1st single from our new album, which is called SWISH. And it's just Destruction the whole way down. So that's how SWISH comes to be. But during this time, Kanye West, former rapper, former presidential candidate, he releases Life of Pablo. And we had all of this advertising around Destruction that was
Benches, billboards.
Yeah, right. They were like public transit ads. They were in comic books, right? They were in Marvel comics. And it was just this orange background, and it said Destruction a million times in a row. And when the Life of Pablo art came out, I thought my phone was broken. It was like the same, except there was like a little picture on it. And I was like, how could this happen? Of course, now I know that like it's black text Helvetica with an orange background. But those ads were out in the wild for like 6 months or a year before that record came out. So we decided to make, he at the time, he was about to call Life of Pablo SWISH, called it Life of Pablo. So we took the album name SWISH since he had taken our artwork. Another fun bit. But if you look at not the SWISH cover, but if you look at the ads for Destruction that were out at that time and Life of Pablo record cover, it's insane. Every so often on Reddit, this goes viral, like us playing Destruction multiple times. I would say it happens like once a year, and all these people discuss, why is this band playing the same song multiple times? And it's so funny. People come up with theories like, well, probably what happened is they booked this concert and didn't have enough songs. Like that's like one of the leading theories, and people are like, I think they have enough songs. I think they're doing it on purpose, and it's amazing. Right now, we're going to go around, and we're each going to do our top favorite moments and just kind of talk about them for a minute.
Okay.
So Joey's going to start. One. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to say one, and I want to see both of your faces right now when I say it. Joywave attempts to enter Fort Knox in Kentucky.
That is a top moment.
What do you remember about that before I recall it?
I remember going to the McDonald's across the street from Fort Knox.
Well, okay, I don't remember the McDonald's from Fort Knox.
I do too.
Tell me the McDonald's.
We had like a cool down period.
Yeah, we had to go get some McDonald's after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Growing up, Dan and I would watch all those old James Bond movies, Sean Connery, and one of our favorites was Goldfinger. And a large part of that movie takes place in Fort Knox.
And I've told this
how
story.
How are we supposed to know?
How are we supposed to know?
I've told this story a lot, and every time I tell it, they all disagree, and they all think, how did you think that was a
like,
thing?
how could you guys be so stupid?
Yeah, how are you guys
I blame
idiots?
James Bond.
I've never had someone be like, that makes sense.
And we're not idiots. I consider us like pretty intelligent people.
This is not our finest
I
hour.
genuinely thought they'd have like a gift shop.
Right.
Or something.
So did I. I thought they'd have like gold bars, replicas from the Goldfinger movie.
Here's the gold.
You could headphones you can wear around and listen to someone talk, right? As you like take a tour of the facility. Nope.
So if anyone out there was like us at the time and didn't know, Fort Knox is like a military base.
It's a fort.
It's like Fort
It's
Knox.
a fort. Yeah.
Fort.
It's just like Fort Knox.
heavily guarded.
We drove by on the highway.
We were seeing signs on the highway that would just
Fort
say like,
Knox. This
Why
exit.
even have
Guys,
signs for it if you can't visit it?
we have a day off today. Why not go to Fort Knox and visit the gift shop?
None of us have ever been to Fort Knox. Let's get off.
Let's
right?
go.
We pulled the van into Fort Knox.
First, you turn down an entryway, and it's a big, long road, and it starts to get narrower and narrower and narrower, and there's like less things in your line of sight, and there's in the distance a
People with
guard,
guns.
a guard at a booth with a big gun, and the van just gets silent.
You can't turn around.
You can't turn around. It is, and that's by design. Turns out they don't want anybody turning around on the driveway of Fort Knox. And we rolled down the window at the gate, and the guy was like, "What are you doing?" And we said we wanted to see it. And
I said, we came to see it. And he immediately said, see what? And I said, Fort Knox. And he's like, who are you guys? And then I explained it. He took all of our IDs.
scanned our IDs. Yep.
And then we had to pull through the gate. They had to let us into Fort Knox so that we could turn around and drive out of Fort Knox.
He took all of our IDs. He said, "Have any of you been here before?" We all said no. And then he goes, "Ben Bailey's been here before." And we're all looking at Ben, and he's going, I don't think so. Maybe when I was like a little kid, I don't remember it. I've never been here.
No, because you can't go there, even as a little kid. We were terrified.
Do you remember the last thing he said to us?
Oh, I'll never forget
could've
it.
been a
Okay, so
little
the
nicer.
last thing he said to us, as he gives us our license back, I was sweating. And Paul said, "Thank you so much." He didn't say anything back. And as Paul started pulling away, this is when we had a Sprinter. We were touring in a Sprinter. As we were pulling away, he said, "That's a nice damn van."
Yeah, we just went to McDonald's.
It
I remember
wasn't
sitting in
themed.
there in silence.
It wasn't gold. or
Yeah, we were
anything.
all.
We were terrified.
We were coming down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all just needed a good McChicken after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
Our first experience doing Seth Meyers, our first experience doing late night.
He was so nice.
Yeah,
Very
that was
nice.
very special for me because that was another like dream. That
Super
was
cool to
really
be backstage
Yep.
there.
We got to like see the SNL studio. Fred Armisen talked to us after we played.
Yeah,
which
because we
was
played
really
Destruction.
nice.
He really liked we did the thing with like the Destruction button, and he came back and he
Yeah.
was like, not enough people incorporate like a theatrical element. He was like, it was awesome, which was really nice of him to come talk to us.
Yeah, I got to meet Chris Pratt. He signed Star-Lord #1 that I brought. It was just really cool. Of all the actors that could have been the guest that night, it was Chris Pratt, which was fun.
I'm rewatching Parks and Rec right now.
Ah, that's great.
I'm watching it with my son right now.
Yeah,
One of maybe my favorite show of all time.
it's great.
Yeah.
The Reasonableists. It's my favorite. The Doomsday episode. Zorp.
Yeah.
Organize it. So good.
So what are some stand-up moments for you, Dan?
Joywave's role in Fortnite is amazing. We had like if your song gets used in something, you get kind of like an email ask of like a legal permission. Can we do this thing? And we got one for a game called Fortnite that none of us had ever heard of, and they wanted to use Destruction. I was like, I don't know if we should do this. Paul looked at it. He was like, I don't know if this makes sense. And one of our buddies, Pierce, was like, I've been playing this game in beta. It's going to be like the biggest thing in the world. You should say yes. And I was like, yeah, we'll see about that. So we said yes. And of course, the game became massive like instantly and introduced tons of people to Destruction. So the original trailer for Fortnite uses Destruction. And one of the game's creators, Donald Mustard, came and saw us like on this cycle and came back and spent time with us. And he was like, he said, I was working on Fortnite and I wasn't sure what the game should look like. And then I heard the song Dangerous and I was like, this is like fun, but kind of dark. And he said, from that moment on, I just tried to make the game look like how I thought the
Fun, but
song
kind of
sounded.
dark.
And I was like, you owe me so much money. No, I was just like really flattered by it. I was like, I can't believe that. Like, it's just one of those things where sometimes if you're a musician, you're like, you can get in your head about like, I'm essentially a court jester, right? Like I don't do anything. Like if I have no actual skill, but like what you do can influence other people
Right.
to do things that are like truly amazing. Like, I don't know, like I remember a kid on the first cycle, like she like discovered some new particle or something, or a new type of virus or bacteria, and like named it the Joywave.
It was a virus, I think.
Yeah, which is perfect for us. But I was like, that's crazy. Like you're like doing something that's actually like,
Totally.
could change the world. And well, okay, so this kind of segues into my next favorite thing, which is that Destruction got played in the Supreme Court of the United States.
Did not forget about that. Yeah.
So that's like, I think my favorite moment. There was this trial between Apple and Epic Games where they were like suing each other about the way their app store ecosystem worked or something. And the people at Epic Games had the Fortnite trailer entered into the record. So they played the Fortnite trailer in the Supreme Court, which had Destruction play. So all the Supreme Court justices had to hear Destruction,
Yeah, it's
which
pretty-
is like incredible.
great.
I can't imagine what was, yeah. All right, Joe, what do you got?
emerging on the West Coast for the first time and pulling off onto that beach. You had the name of that beach the other day. What was it called?
It's in a Joy Meets World episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I forget. What was it, like Crescent City or something?
Yeah,
like
Crescent
that?
City.
Yep. Pulling off. It was just like a little rest area, Crescent City Beach, and it was like dusk. So the sky was this pink and purple gradient of, I've never seen it before. And we all just kind of got out and walked around on the sand, and it was the first time I'd ever seen that ocean. And none of us were really like even talking. We were just kind of looking around, taking it all in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that.
So that reminds me of a really similar moment where I won a BMI award for Dangerous. Which is like almost,
Congratulations.
thank you, which is like almost the same.
Yeah.
I won
It's your Redwood.
Yeah, that's my Redwoods.
Yeah.
BMI awards. BMI, the songwriting organization, gives out awards for like the biggest songs of the year. And I won one in 2016 for Dangerous, which is amazing. You get to go to this like, you know, it's like an award show, right? You show up and there's this like fancy dinner and stuff. And I didn't get to go because we were on tour playing in Cincinnati with Silver Sun Pickups at Bogart's. And I was like, how about I come to LA and I go to the award show? And everyone on our team was like, no, Dan, you have to go to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati needs you.
Cincinnati needs you as the first of 3 bands.
The
and I
next
was like,
Cincinnati show should be the loudest show we've ever played.
And what happened that I missed, it was very purred happily of me, at the BMI Awards, while I was not there, our manager saw this and label people. They play a clip of the song when it wins. So Dangerous wins. And Taylor Swift was dancing and singing along to Dangerous. And no video exists. And I didn't get to see it. And that's crazy that I was in Cincinnati. And I've never stood
Power
and
went out
danced
during sound check.
Yeah, the power.
We almost didn't have a show.
The power went out.
We almost didn't have a show. That would have been something, as if the show got canceled and they were like, just hang out at a gas station parking lot.
You know, yeah, there is no show, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, there was no like live stream of it or anything. So I just I have like a fake image of it in my head, like based on people's descriptions. And
We'll text you updates. Just
Taylor Swift is dancing while Dangerous plays. She says she loves it. Great, say hi.
What do you got for one, Paul? Here's something interesting on my list.
He's just shaking his head and saying, "That's what they did when kids like didn't do their reports."
So I have something.
No, we've touched on everything that I wanted to.
Okay, I have
tell
something
stories
on here,
about.
and I abbreviated it because I wrote it down while I was driving. Here's the letters I wrote down: capital F, lowercase o, lowercase a, capital L. What do you think I was talking about for a top 10 moment?
Foals.
No, not Foles. It would have just said
You
Foles.
literally just typed foal.
It would have said Foles.
You don't
It
think that's
stands
the
for
plural
something.
of foals? You don't think it
Something of a
stands for foals?
lifetime. Something.
I don't know, man. You take weird notes if that's how you
I
take
do
you
take
just
notes.
wrote
weird
the
notes.
you just wrote the singular of foals.
No, this had. I mean, I liked touring with Foles. This had nothing to do with Foles. I would have wrote Foles.
So you don't know
But there's
what
a
that's
capital
about.
L. Yep, FOAL. The F and the L are caps. What could I have possibly been talking about?
I don't know.
What do you think I was talking about?
I already said.
I guess other memorable moments that I can think of that have been brought up is like I mentioned, like meeting the people at the label the first time, you know, naked under a robe during the Tongues video.
That's how most people make their label. Okay, so you and I have one that goes together,
Okay.
which is when we were touring with Metric.
Yeah.
We played in New York.
I had gone outside for some fresh air. We had clearly already played, and I go out the back door to what was the venue? It was
Hammerstein Ballroom?
Hammerstein Ballroom. A lot of big wrestling things happened there. So I'm like taking that in, and I'm standing like, you know, here's the corner. I'm like right here, okay? And all of a sudden, a man in a pink suit on a bicycle turns the corner a little too tight, runs over part of my foot, and it happened so fast that like my eyes couldn't develop the image of my head of like what was really happening. And as it happened, runs over my foot and he passes me, and I just hear, "Sorry." And I was like, pink suit, that voice.
I'm in the green room and I'm reading David Byrne's book, How Music Works. And I look up and David Byrne from Talking Heads is standing in her green room.
Why?
Because he's lost.
Because he just hit a man on his bike.
Yeah,
and
he's
wanted to
hiding
leave a
from the
note.
police. Dude, he looked like the Easter Bunny, like exactly like the Easter Bunny. And he's standing there and he's looking at me and he's like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Hi,
Can I help you?
yeah, can I help you?" And I'm like, "Did he just like come see us?" And he's like, "Where's Metric's dressing room?" And I was like, yeah, I can walk you over there." So I like walked him to Metric's screen
He's
room.
like, great set. You're like,
Yeah, no. He's like this guy like works here. Yeah. So he hit you dressed like the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
Walked in he was just standing in our green room, just like
Yeah.
completely lost.
One time we stayed at a B&B in Venice Beach, and the host was there to give us like the keys or whatever, and he was about to leave, and he was also like, "Oh, I'm leaving my dog here. You got to take him out for like walks and bring him out to the
That's
bathroom."
right. I forgot about that.
We were like, "What?"
We had to take care of a guy's
forgot
dog.
about
Beg your
that.
pardon?
We just had a dog.
Yeah.
Because it
I
came
remember
with the
Beard-
Airbnb. Yeah.
I remember being outside
does
walking
that?
the dog.
And
just
that was like early days of
it
Airbnb.
made no sense.
Early days of Vine, I think, and we were taking video of him walking the dog out there to the
With the
Charlie Brown.
song.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember the Airbnb owner was so nonchalant and relaxed
You
about it.
gotta
Just like,
take care of
you
my
gotta
dog
take my
and
dog
pay
out.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Just comes with the place. You
Yeah.
gotta take him out.
Well, I had like one more very quick thing, which was just
Okay.
when we were doing UK and Europe for the first time. I remember that one of the songs that would crush us at Staples and Wegmans was one of the songs by a band called The Sundays. And and when we got to the UK, the drummer of The Sundays drove us for 2 weeks. And he's like, "I'm the drummer in The Sundays." And we're like, "Cool.
Oh, dude, awesome.
Cool." Which in hindsight, they have some really cool songs that I really like now.
I wish I wasn't working.
But the one song I had been crushed by, and I was like, "Oh no!" So the drummer from The Sundays like carried our stuff for like 2 weeks, and definitely he
Dressed
must
in a
have
suit every
hated
day.
us.
Yeah.
He was dressed. He had his poppy. He was so pro. He was so good at his job. He was so down for anything, and we were just like, "Where are we, and what's happening to us?" I remember playing also Manchester for the first time on that run. We'd gone way too hard with drinking. I was throwing up during the set. Like I had a bucket on stage, and the bass player from New Order came to see us, and I was so embarrassed. There were like 10 people in the entire venue. 10% of them were in New Order.
Actually, the food upstairs was good.
Soup.
And bread.
The band downstairs
Soup and
was
bread.
not good. The band downstairs was not good that night. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you could meet yourself in this era, like today, you right now, meet yourself in this era that you're talking about, what advice or what would you tell yourself?
Oh,
Damn,
man.
that's good, Jay.
Put that beer down.
Yeah, stop drinking way sooner.
Yeah, don't drink.
You've had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I gave myself, I don't think I've ever talked about this like in anything. I gave myself pancreatitis multiple times, and doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me because they were like, "Are you 80 years old?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Have you been drinking 6 drinks a day since you were 10?" And I was like, "No." But there would be so much alcohol around, and we were like, "That's an $80 bottle.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
We've got to finish it," right? Because we like couldn't take it in the van, so we would just be like, "Well, we don't want to waste it."
Yeah.
And it crushed me, and it got to the point where it was like I wasn't like drinking on days off or anything. It was just like I would have like a whiskey before we went on stage. I would have 1 or 2 when we got off. But like for me, that gave me pancreatitis, and every time I had an attack, I had a drink in my hand.
Yeah.
And eventually, a doctor had to be like, "Do you want like your pancreas to turn to dust, or do you want to stop drinking?" And he's like, "Why do you drink?" I was like, "It like helps me talk to people, and that's like part of my job." He's like, "Stop doing it. See ya."
It's always next to me, like
Yeah.
it's crazy to think like how many times I had 8 drinks when I could have just had 2.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
had
yeah.
The
The
same
unnecessary beers, right? It's
Exactly. I
the
would say if I just drink all this, I won't have to worry about buying
and
food later.
the rose is all the traveling. The thorn is all the drinking I did while traveling.
I just like it's been crazy to see because like now that we've been touring for so long, people who like started touring or were touring longer than us, they either do not drink anymore
Yeah.
or they aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
It's like I wish if I could go back, I think I would just like take way more like mental snapshots of stuff. I'd buy a pair of those Ray-Ban glasses that could take video. Wear those everywhere. Yeah.
I think that's a wrap for
Good question.
episode 1. Yeah, great question from Jay. Shout out to Jay, our
Big
cameraman
dude.
from the demos.
Absolutely.
Great band. It's awesome of him to help us out today. Thank
Shout out
you.
to the George Eastman Museum.
Yeah, shout out to the George Eastman House. Shout out to George Eastman.
George Eastman Museum.
George Eastman Museum, that's right, in Rochester, New York. You can visit it. You can come see this room yourself. There's a giant elephant head. It's really crazy. Founder of Kodak, just a crazy thing. You can sit in his living room. Well, you can't, but we can.
The plant thing that you shared in the beginning, that's true.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Let's see. I think next time we'll be talking about content. You can watch this on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The other thing we wanted to tell you guys is please leave comments on this video on YouTube with questions about Content, Joywave's second record. That's what we're going to be talking about next time, and we'll be pulling questions from there. It can be about the tour cycle. It can be about the album. It can be about songs, really anything. So leave a comment. I'm Daniel. That's Paul. That's Joey. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.
I know what it is.
Oh.
Freak on a leash.
Oh, okay.
It's Freak on a Leash.
Yeah,
That
wow.
explains it.
Crazy that it was not Foles.